Hello class, this is Mr. Wedgwood speaking. Myself, along with Mr. Guzdial and Ms. Kingsley, have prepared for you an exciting lesson on photosynthesis. Let's dive in. Take a second and think back to earlier today or earlier this week when you saw something that was green and living. Do you have an image of something in mind? When you saw it, you probably thought nothing of it, but after today's lesson, you'll never be able to look at it in the same light. Something that I came across recently that sparked my eye was the Hummer O2 car. I read about it on gizmag.com. As you can see, this car is unlike most cars that you'll see on the road. It has algae growing in the panels that produce oxygen, making it a very green car. If you're interested in this car, there's a link in the description below. Let's move on to today's lesson. The purpose of today's lesson is to teach you the process of photosynthesis and how it is essential for all living things, including you. The objectives are to define photosynthesis as well as identify and label parts of the plant used in photosynthesis. Okay, I know I keep throwing around the word photosynthesis, but what does it really mean? The term photosynthesis is derived from the Greek words photo, meaning light, and synthesis, meaning puts together. So simply put, photosynthesis means using light to put something together. Photosynthesis, by definition, is the process used by plants and other autotrophs to capture light energy and use it to power chemical reactions that convert carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and energy-rich carbohydrates such as sugars and starches. Now that is a basic intro of photosynthesis, and I'll let Mr. Guzdial take it from here.
Thank you, Mr. Wedgwood. As he said, my name is Mr. Guzdial. I'm going to take you the rest of the way through photosynthesis. Alright, so the equation for photosynthesis is 6CO2 plus 6H2O yields C6H12O6 plus 6O2. So in words, it's carbon dioxide plus water yields sugar and oxygen. So as you know, energy from the sun travels to the earth in the form of light. Sunlight, which our eyes perceive as white light, is actually a mixture of different wavelengths. Many of these wavelengths are visible to our eyes and make up what is known as visible spectrum. Chlorophyll, plants gather, and the sun's energy with light-absorbing molecules are called pigments. And pigments are chemical compounds which reflect only certain wavelengths of visible light. So the reason why plants look green is because they reflect green light. Plants also contain red, orange pigments such as carotene that absorb light in other regions of the spectrum. When light strikes a colored object, some wavelengths are absorbed, whereas others are transmitted or reflected. Colors we perceive are the wavelengths of light that are transmitted or reflected. For example, a ripe tomato appears red because it reflects light in the red portion of the spectrum. Light in all other portions of the visible spectrum is absorbed. Similarly, the leaves of the tomato plant are pure green because they reflect light in the green portion of the spectrum. Most of the time, the intense green color of the chlorophyll overwhelms the accessory pigments, so we don't notice them. As temperatures drop late in the year, however, chlorophyll molecules break down, leaving the reds and orange of the accessory pigments for all of us to see. So that's why we see all the different colors in fall. Some places don't even get that because it doesn't cool off. So like Florida, Texas, states like those do not get to see the change for fall. Now into chloroplasts, where the chlorophyll is in, organelle that is found in cell of plants that captures the energy from sunlight and converts it into chemical energy. The chloroplast contains abundance of sac-like photosynthetic membranes called thylakoids, and thylakoids are interconnected and rearranged in stacks known as grana. Pigments such as chlorophyll are located in the thylakoid membranes. The fluid portion of the chloroplast outside of the thylakoids is known as the stroma. And now to Ms. Kingsley to show you diagrams.
Hello class, my name is Miss Kingsley. Now that we've learned the basics of photosynthesis, I'm here to introduce you to the art project that you will be completing. Now here is your photosynthesis art project. For this project, you will have two options. First, you can draw and label a diagram of a plant cell, or for the second option, you can diagram and label the basic process of photosynthesis. I will show you examples of each of these. The first example is where you draw the plant cell. Now for this example, you would draw it just as I've shown. However, I want you to draw it in your own way. Don't copy mine. But you will draw all of the parts of the plant cell that I have labeled here, including the chloroplasts and the cytoplasm and the nucleus and the nucleolus. And then you'll notice down in the corner, there's also a diagram of a dissected chloroplast, which you will also be including, and I will give a little more details on in just a minute. And then for the fun part, this is where the art comes in. Of course, we get to add color. So after you've completely drawn and successfully labeled your project, I want you to add color to it. Add as many colors as you'd like. Make it so that all of the different parts stick out and we can tell where each part of the cell is located based on the color that it is. If you want to do option 1, here's the word bank for you. These are all of the words that I expect to be labeled on your project. And when you label these on your project, I also expect the lines to look nice and neat and straight. So I used a ruler to connect the part of the drawing to the word describing it. And I would like you to do the same, because I like neat, tidy projects. Now option 2 is drawing a basic diagram of the whole process of photosynthesis. And you'll do it kind of the same way as the cell, except this one, there's not as many things to add, so it's a little more simple. So I have decided that I would like you, if you choose this one, to where I have oxygen labeled, you would put O2. Or where I have carbon dioxide, you would put CO2. Put the chemical equations for each of the things listed if you can. And same with this one, you'll notice over on the side, there's a little diagram of a chloroplast. I think you've noticed now that chloroplasts are kind of a big deal. So I think you can tell we'll be focusing on them a little bit more. So whichever project you choose, I want you to include the chloroplast down the side or on the bottom, wherever it'll fit, with the 5 things labeled that I'll tell you in just a minute, because we're going to spend some more time learning more in depth about the chloroplast. And then just like project 1, project 2, of course, you get to color it, because a drawing of flowers in sunlight just wouldn't look the same in black and white. So you get to add color to this one too, once you've done all of the drawing and labeling. For option 2, this is your word bank for all the things I want labeled. And on the directions I put there to include all chemical symbols wherever you can put them. And now as far as the little chloroplast that you're including on each project, whichever one you choose, these are the words that I would like you to include when you draw and label your chloroplast diagram. So now when you come into class tomorrow, I will have these samples out for you to look at, either option 2 of the photosynthesis or option 1 of the plant cell. I will have these samples out for you to look at, and we will begin working on them as soon as you walk in the door. Looking forward to tomorrow. Thanks for listening.